This is Josh with the Synchronized Universe podcast coming at you from my drive home from work. I like to do these on my drive because honestly, it's one of the few times where I'm really just kind of by myself and can kind of I use this kind of to decompress, talk about some stuff that I've seen today, talk about some stuff I was thinking about most of the day. I wanted to do a little continuation on my last one where I was talking about my thoughts on the idea of us living in a closed system and the whole the idea that the earth is flat, which again I don't believe at all. There's just too much evidence suggesting the latter, that the earth is round and blah blah blah, and that really space does exist. I think it's our understanding of space, time, etc. that is what's flawed. And that's simply because in the third dimension, which we live in, we're bound by three-dimensional thought. It's hard to think outside of three dimensions. So, how can we know, in subsequent dimensions, how could we know what it's like? Because we're bound by this thought. So we're not able to be like, oh yeah, so that's possible, physics or this, physics would be different, we have no idea what would be different in another dimension of existence. So that's something to keep in mind. And then as far as our history goes, one of the things I wanted to lead off with is a quote from an author named Frank Herbert. And the quote goes, "The gravest error a thinking person can make is to think that any one version of history is absolute. Because history is written by a group of observers, none of whom are impartial." Now what this means is that, as nations conquer other nations, as we have moved across the world and all these wars have happened, history is being made. But each time it's made, certain groups will make themselves look out to be the good guys, or certain groups, they'll demonize other people. But what we have is an account, based on, the different people that have made these accounts, different historians, there's no way that we can prove that it's 100%, yes, this is exactly what happened. Because, given with our nation, or any nation in the world, they're going to make themselves look out to be, the good guys. We're the heroes of this story. And each nation has that exact same thing. We are the heroes of the world. We're the heroes of the world. No, we're here the heroes of the world. And we all know that can't actually be the case. It can't be the case for every nation. So that's something, that's a quote that's really stuck with me. And it's something I always think about. I take history with a grain of salt. Especially, the history of the United States, the history. I've learned too much about, South American culture, about the way we, not necessarily we, but the conquistadors and all that stuff that literally destroyed South America, literally destroyed all the, the Aztecs, the Incas, and not only did they destroy the people, but they destroyed their history. So a lot of these groups, a lot of native tribes, their history relies on mythology because it was destroyed. Or simply they didn't have anybody that recorded history, because that's not, what they did. They passed it down from, tribe to tribe to tribe, as tribal knowledge. They can't, they handed down their legends and stories, and, they would draw, make paintings and stuff like that. It's, recorded history started being by the civilized folks, if you will, the civilized ones that were slaughtering thousands of people because they wanted their lands. That's civilized. The people that were living in harmony with the earth and with the land were uncivilized. It's funny how we start to realize, once you really think about it, that they were the ones that were correct and the people that were killing them all were obviously wrong. And we're seeing that as we are completely destroying our planet. Whether or not you believe in climate change, whether you believe that the earth is, overpopulated, the fact is that it is. And the fact is we are destroying our planet. It's not about, there's more to this than just the climate changing. We are completely destroying it. Once we destroy the Amazon rainforest and throw off the balance of our planet, which is what's occurring, it's because we are throwing off the balance of our planet. We're cutting down all the trees. Like, if you watch, give you some homework if you really want. Watch all the Planet Earth documentaries and watch, anything you can on, the size of the rainforest and all that neat stuff. And one of the things about Planet Earth that I like to show is that they show the symbiotic relationship that the Earth has with itself. For instance, that the Sahara Desert, like the winds blow the sand from the Sahara Desert not only across the ocean, but it also fertilizes the ocean and it fertilizes the Amazon rainforest. So the Earth itself is not, first of all, the Earth is alive. That's something to remember. We live on a planet that is 100% alive, and I believe personally is conscious. But that's a whole nother ball game there. But you start to realize that, like, honestly, when you boil it down to it, humans are the problem, whether or not we want to admit that or not. And history has shown us that civilizations rise and fall. Like, if you believe that civilization only started 5,000 years ago, like with the Sumerians, then you need to do a lot more research, because that is 100% not the case. That is one of the other reasons why I don't believe the whole flat earth theory and that, God created us and we live in this little, essentially live in a, what do they call it? We created the firmament. We live in like a little flat zone and there's nothing else in space. It's all just, God knows what they think it is, lights. But the science doesn't back any of that up that they're saying, first of all. But you start to look all over the world. This is not stuff that's generally posted in, mainstream science and archaeology, because we're kept under a certain narrative because they don't want us knowing the truth. The truth is, this is not the first time civilization has come about. This is not, and it's not going to be the last time. Civilizations rise and fall. And the fact is, humans are way, way, way older than we have been told. 100%. Like, the Sumerian records, first of all, if you read the tablets, they go back, 400,000 years. If you want to believe it or not, again, you go back to that quote about history. So I've read all the books that Zecharia Sitchin wrote, where he deciphers the tablets and talking about the Anunnaki and how they genetically seeded our planet. I read all that, and one of the things that I keep this quote in my mind because, the people, the heroes of this book are making themselves out to be all of this is them. They're the kings, they're the good guys, they seeded our planet, they're our masters, etc. But see, again, you got to take that with a grain of salt. You don't want to take any version of history as 100% absolute. You got to keep an open mind when you're researching history and ancient civilizations. But what we keep finding as we go around the world is older and older ruins. There is no way to explain that based on our current understanding of history. There isn't. There's literally pyramids that have been found, as they LiDAR scanned the Amazon rainforest. There's pyramids all over the Amazon. There's, way more pyramids. There's pyramids in China. There's pyramids all over the planet. Not just in Egypt. And these were supposed to have been built by primitive folks. But they're literally built with mathematical precision, and they're lined up perfectly, astronomically. For instance, the pyramids at Giza are lined up exactly with the constellation Orion. Precisely. And these things are literally architectural masterpieces. They're impossible, even by today's standards, to build, and yet supposedly primitive people built these things. These are the types of things that, it makes me know that there's a lot more going on than they've told us. Way more. These pyramids were not built by people pulling blocks on the thing. They were not built that way. 100%. I'll take that argument with anybody any day. The reason why we believe that they were is because that's what the history books tell us. That's what they tell us. That's what we've been told our whole lives. That's what we're taught in schools, that these were elaborate burial tombs that these, big-headed pharaohs needed to build for themselves. That is ridiculous. Now, there's all sorts of different sources on this. You could read The Great Pyramid Decoded by Peter Lemaitre, I can't say his word. Peter Lemaitre. It's French. Sorry, terrible at pronouncing. Anyway, but that's a good one. If you really want to talk, learn about the pyramid, that's really in depth. This man spent a lifetime studying the Great Pyramid. And another fun fact about the Great Pyramid is that on all the corners of this thing, it is not off on level by more than a half an inch. Like, this thing is so perfectly level that it's literally impossible. This is like a mountain, man. And again, it was apparently built by primitive folks as a burial tomb. That's what we're given. And it's mind-blowing that people believe that, honestly. And honestly, the reason people do believe it is because that's what we've been told. You have no reason to question what you've been told. Just like we have no reason to question our history, and we're all of a sudden finding out that our history is BS too. There's so much that has been taken out of our history books. Like, for instance, a lot of Black history has been not been properly represented in our history. A lot of Native American history is not properly represented. Why is that? Because, people didn't want it to come out. For whatever reason, it's been suppressed, maybe to keep a level of control, who knows? But it's not right. And slowly but surely it's coming out. I seen somebody talking about it the other day online when I was reading some comments. That this lady was talking about, we have such good history in this country, and it's just, that is ignorant. If you look back through our history is not good. Okay? First of all, we came over here, we did not make peace with the natives, we slaughtered the natives. Or the people that came here. I'm not claiming these people, okay? Like, the people who came over to take this land slaughtered the people. It was genocide. Right? There's nothing good about our history. Then again, you can go, like, the history of almost every country in the world is that way. It's built on bloodshed. Humankind has wanted to kill each other for whatever reason since the beginning. And that's because the people in charge tell us, hey, yes, we need to go kill these people over here because we need, they're bad. And we take their word for it because it comes from a place of authority, and we're taught not to question authority. We're taught not to question God's will. We're taught to not question anything. And that's not right. None of it is. You have to be able to question everything. It's time in this world that we start questioning absolutely everything around us. You don't believe any of this stuff? Start researching it. Take some free time. Get off, the phone. Get off the video games. Get off the TV for a little bit. You can utilize TV, but watch something that teaches you about ancient civilizations. Watch Ancient Aliens, for goodness sakes, if you want a mainstream take on ancient archaeology. I recommend the Gaia Network if you want to get really in-depth with some of this stuff, if you're really ready to open the mind. There's a show on there called Ancient Civilizations that's literally chock full of good stuff. Essentially, it's the non-mainstream version of the Ancient Alien show. It even has the same voice guy. But those are the types of things that will get your mind going. It'll make you realize that there's so much more that we're not being told. Absolutely. Like, honestly, ever since I started, I used to be, I guess you could say like a normal God-fearing, country-loving guy. I loved the United States. I was a supporter of war. We should go kill all these people. And then one day, essentially, I woke up. I don't like the idea of using the term woke because, that to me is only halfway there. Being woke is only realizing part of the system is flawed. Being awake is realizing the entire thing is flawed. What they're doing is pitting us against each other so that way we can't see that they're screwing us, essentially. And that is not up for debate. That's 100% the truth. Look at history. It'll tell you. Again, so just start questioning absolutely everything you come across. everything. Don't take anybody's word for it, especially not people who are being paid to tell you that. Like, don't take Big Pharma's word for it. Don't take freaking the president's word for it at face value. The government lies as a matter of policy. Should not be taking anybody's word for it. We're going to need to see the proof. We as, citizens of the country and citizens of the world need to start being like, yeah, show me the proof. Show me exactly what you're doing with the money that we give you in taxes. Why is there so many millionaire politicians? Why is there such a disparity between the poor and the super rich? Like, we have a lot of issues in this country, and it's really coming to light. We have a lot of issues in the world. And I think that as a society, as a world, we got to come together and stop letting the people in charge make us kill each other. Because that's what it boils down to. Like, this guy's running me, go kill him. No, man, we're done. Like, we don't need to do this anymore. Somebody, groups, got to start speaking up, got to start saying why. Why do I need to do that? Why did we need to go to war for 20 years for no reason? Why do we continue to be at war as a country? The United States has spent most of its inception in war. Why? Why do we need to be the world police? It's a simple question. Why? Why did we need to invade Iraq? There was never a reason. There was never weapons of mass destruction. These kind of things are stuff that's got to get answered. And it's not going to happen until we start coming together. But the reason why most people can't is because we're kept busy trying to afford just to exist. So we don't have time to question it. There's a reason why the conspiracy community and everything else has exploded since the freaking pandemic. Because people were at home, they had more time to research stuff, they had more time to look into some of these claims, and they realized there's a lot of validity to it. There is a lot of validity to it. And yes, there's absolutely a lot of conspiracies that are absolutely flat out wrong and lies. But you got to weed through them. There's an absolute laundry list of conspiracies that were once thought of as tinfoil hat stuff, literally been confirmed. The UFO cover-up is one. They spent years denying that UFOs exist, and now they openly admit it, declassified all the documents. Or at least the ones that they wanted us to see. They still only gave you the trickle-down effect, though. That's what I'm talking about. Like, we can believe history all you want. You can spend, hey, I'm going to defend my history till the death, but it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid because the history of our world is absolutely corrupted. And it is an absolutely someone else's version of the truth. The truth is somewhere in the middle. You got to wipe away all the BS for it. And you do that by, again, starting to question everything. Research online. There's plenty of reputable sources. Cross-reference your sources. If you believe in, you see one thing in a book, find it somewhere else in another book. Have something else to confirm that. But, keep your mind open when you're doing this stuff. That's the important thing. You don't have a closed mind. Because I'm telling you, history is not what they've told us. Not at all. Not a little bit. The Bible is not a history book. Get it out of your head that it's a history book. Because it's not. Okay? The Bible is a watered down version of the Sumerian stories. At least the Old Testament is. The only thing that matters, you could get pretty much, you can sum up everything you need to know about Christianity with one sentence. It's do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat others with kindness. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need all the other stuff. You just need to treat others as you would want to be treated. With love. That's basically the entirety of Jesus' message. It's real simple, folks. You don't need all the other BS. In any case, I'm about to be home. I'm going to drag on just a little bit longer. But pretty much, as you can see, I'm passionate about these subjects. Some resources to read on if you really want to learn about, the history of our planet. There's all sorts of different resources. I recommend if you really want to learn about the Sumerians, and the Sumerian tablets, the cuneiform texts. Read Zechariah Sitchin's books, the Earth Chronicles. I think it's like 1 through 10. There's another good one that compiles a lot of the stuff called Slave Species to the Gods. It talks about the different gods of history and honestly really what they are, where they came from. You'll start to really realize that like a lot of the stuff in the Bible has been honestly retold from earlier, older texts. But you don't have to believe it. It's hard to change that belief because you've literally been told you can't. It's blasphemous to look outside of this and that. And that's something once you start stepping outside of that little bubble, it's freeing. Absolutely freeing. You step outside of society's bubble and start to question everything, it's absolutely freeing. 100%. Because you're no longer, thinking the same way as everybody else. You're questioning everything around you. And that's what's important. That awakens something inside of you that nothing else can. You become an awakened individual. I promise you, give it a shot. Anyway, this is Josh with the Synchronized Universe podcast. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you more than you'll ever know.